Hey, have you ever hired someone who looked perfect on paper, only to realize that they're not the right fit once they get the job? Or you felt like your team is busy but not actually making progress? Well, Vikki Kempker, the workplace strength strategist and creator of TeamAlign Method, joins me to expose hidden misalignments silently sabotaging your team's performance. She'll reveal how to spot invisible friction that leads to stalled projects, team burnout, and high turnover, and more importantly, how to fix it for good. So, if your team has the talent but can't seem to hit its stride, this episode will show you how to realign your people so that they can work in flow, not frustration. So, don't miss this one on Profit with a Plan. Your team's performance depends on it. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale-ready assets, so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later on. Join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. Today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. But before we dive in, I've got something special for you. And if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still not seeing the results you want, it might be time for a fresh perspective. That's why we're offering a free growth and marketing audit. And in just one powerful session, we'll uncover opportunities to drive real growth for your business. If you're ready to make that impact, go visit profitbooster.biz. All right, let's jump into our episode. Our guest today is Vikki Kempker. She's a workplace strength strategist and the creator of TeamAlign Method, a strengths-based framework designed to help leaders uncover and resolve hidden misalignments that quietly derail the team's performance. By identifying how people naturally take action and solve problems, Vikki reveals why some roles feel heavy while certain dynamics fall flat, and why execution stalls, no matter how hard the team works. Through her her team align method and her L.E.A.D framework, she guides leaders to pinpoint misalignments, realign responsibilities, and foster stronger collaborations so teams perform at their best without constant course correction or burnout. Hey, welcome to Profit with a Plan. Vikki, I'm excited to have you on today.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yay. Okay. So, just for the audience notes, Vikki is a proud provisor with me here in Las Vegas, and she does some amazing work. So I'm super excited to bring you on today. And you know what, before we get started though, how did you get into this alignment thing, and what are some of the hidden tools you're using?
So it's kind of a funny story, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I was in a job role that I started as a sales manager and was doing that for about 6 months, and it was a growing agency, and they promoted me to director of operations, and they knew I was motivated, they knew I was driven, they knew a lot about me, put me in this position, and within 4 months, I was let go.
Oh,
And as much as I was devastated, reached out to my connections and I'm like, okay, who do you know? What do I need to do? And they're like, you love personal development, you love business development. Why don't have you ever heard of Kolbe? And I was like, no. And they're like, this thing has been a game changer for our business. So I went and I love assessments. So I went in and took the assessment and it answered so many things in my life. I almost would have did a flashback of my career. But what it did for that particular moment is realize that I was basically promoted to incompetence, the Peter principle, that, I was at the right time at the right place, but that job expectation was not in my natural strengths.
mm,
They needed somebody to dig in and do a ton of research. That's not my natural strength. And anything I
mm.
brought to them, it wasn't what they were looking for. And I was basically set up to fail.
Ah,
So as I was going back through my career, you're realizing going, oh, this is why in this meeting, because my natural strength is to brainstorm. So someone comes to me with a problem, it's like, okay, let's solve it. Well, in certain meetings, people didn't want things solved. So, you just get these eye rolls of, oh, here goes Vikki again. But when I saw my results, I was like, I was just in my natural strength and I didn't know it, and nor did my team. So that kind of led this whole platform to say, I went and got certified. So I've been certified since 2018. And it's been a game changer between friends and family and coworkers and business owners and business partners that it gives so much clarity that I then, started TeamAlign Method.
love it. Wow. Well, I mean, I experienced it myself and it was definitely eye-opening and I think that this kind of tool is really important and it's so commonly overlooked and how people assess what they should be doing. Remember back in college, you or high school, you sat with the counselor and said, "Well, what are your aptitudes, right? What can oh, you should be a teacher, right?
Yeah,
Or some silly thing that really didn't make sense because, as we evolve and change and build our natural characteristics, as you said, we tend to fall in a place that we do better in, which, there are times in even my life, where I'm like, holy cow, I screwed that up royally, right? And had I known and, now what I know now, probably shouldn't have taken that role, right?
right.
And I think that's why I wanted to bring you on today, because I think that your methods and these ideas of how to align your team so they can perform the best way, it's a game changer for business to have that team moving in the way that they should be moving, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No, and what happens is you have business people when we interview in our natural strengths. So my natural strength is to brainstorm. I want to see how it fits into a plan. I ask questions along the way and I see big picture. So when
mm,
I'm doing that, I'm brainstorming when I'm interviewing. But if that's not how that job role expectation needs, like if it needs somebody to do research, I've got to ask different questions. So if I'm not asking the right questions, I'm not truly understanding what that person's natural strength is just in dialogue. So what happens is you interview, you get the resume, and you're like, okay, this person has all the knowledge. You meet them, yes, they fit our culture, but then they show up and you're like, well, what happened between the interview and you showing up in training? You're like a different person. Well,
mm,
it's that most often it's going to be because now that job strength is not in their natural strength.
mm,
And oftentimes people think, oh, this person came from a competitor. Well, if you came from a boutique type of industry into a more structured or a bigger company that has all these processes and you like to fly by the seat of your pants, now you have to follow a process. I know. Now you have to follow a process. You're going to be it's going to be awkward and frustrating. And
yes.
that's what happens is it's awkward, it's frustrating, they miss steps, they get written up, they think this person's going to finally get it, they need more training. And the reality is they were never set up to succeed based on their natural strengths for them to be able to go at a natural flow, what's natural to them.
Ah, you know what? This is such an eye opener because I mean we spend a lot of time at work, we're paying our team members to do the role that we think that we hired them to do, right? We'd like them to start thinking, outside the box or proactively or doing whatever it is that we want to improve their situation. But it's like the big aha for me is if you put them in a role that doesn't let them or they don't know how to think, you know, um, creatively, then it's going to be a bad situation. Or, like you said, if you want them to follow the rules and not do anything outside the box, and they're a creative thinker, they're going to be coming to you going, "Hey, there's a wall here I want to knock on. Hey, there's one
Yep,
over there I want to knock on." That's
yep,
me.
yeah,
1,000%. Like I want to go knock on walls and go, "Hey, there's a better way of doing this," or
right,
"Have you thought of this?" And they're like, "Stop."
correct.
And it's terrible.
Yep.
So that
And
misalignment kills everything.
yeah, and if that's needed for that job role, but they're reporting to somebody who doesn't, who is like one thing at a time, we don't need to change anything because that's their natural strength. They might be great in the job, but now there's conflict between two people. So this assessment not only helps you identify what type of role the strengths are needed, but then you've got different departments. You've got different people in the within the company or competitors. I'm sorry, not competitors, but within the organization that now you've got people butting heads and
Mhm.
they don't understand why. So, you know, when you integrate it throughout a team and a business, it truly helps you look at somebody's 4-digit result and say, you need a structure. That also means you need closure. So I need to not say, I'm going to barge in and need your help now. I'm going to barge in and say, hey, when you're done with what you're doing, can you come see me? Now you've let somebody know something and they will come back to you once they finish it because they've met their natural need for closure. And if someone's interrupting you like that, they probably have no problem being interrupted. So it doesn't matter what they're doing. So you don't understand that until you truly understand what somebody's strength is. And I will say what I love about Kolbe, real quick. So when we're 5 years old playing with blocks, we play with these blocks the exact same way we would today. Meaning, if you have a Y person, that is how they gather and share information. That's one of the categories that Kolbe identifies. That need for why never goes away. It turns into
Mhm.
curiosity. It turns into I'm a researcher. Somebody
Mhm.
who has a need for organization, that is the blue line through the Kolbe, the follow through, they've got a strong need for structure. They're the ones that are saying, I'm going to put all my red ones over here, my yellow ones here, my squares over here. They're making it look pretty. They're organizing it. That is their natural need. They still do that. They highlight, they color code spreadsheets. Their towels are all lined up organizational because that's what makes them happy. Somebody who has a long in the quick start, which is risk versus uncertainty, the longer the line, they're making things up as they go. As a kid, they're making up the rules in the game. As an adult, they're brainstorming, they're winging it, they're flying by the seat of their pants. That is their strength. That doesn't go away. Somebody who has a need to build something, hands-on tangibles, they're the ones that are building big major Legos. They're the surgeons, they're the plumbers, they're the people using their hands all the time. So
Crazy.
this doesn't your results don't change where behaviors you can learn more information, you can learn to be more personable, and I need to do this, and that becomes the feeling that what drives you, but your instinctive way of problem solving does not change, and it's with you from day one. And that's what I love about Kolbe is it doesn't matter, you are going to be the same, and then you just have to figure out other people around you to be able to go, oh, not everybody thinks like me. Not everybody responds and acts like I do.
What?
Oh, and for some people, that's enough to say, no wonder we have communication issues. We have
Exactly.
communication issues because I have a need for details and you have a need for simplifying it. And I'm showing up and throwing up, and you're going, oh, okay, I just need one thing at a time. So that's what I love
Wow.
about what this does. And as you can see, it is a game changer when people see the results.
You know what? Like I said earlier, it's a huge eye opener. You start going, oh, no wonder, right? And it's amazing that it never changes, right? I mean, the phase of your life, and what you're doing and where you're going and, what season you're in, those all change, but your building blocks, as you explained with the kids game, they're always the same.
Yeah.
So if we can learn our building blocks and potentially learn the building blocks of the coworkers we have, then we can get more from them. I mean, that's the basic premise of this whole conversation, right?
Right. Yeah. You know,
Good.
we talk about win-win scenarios, and a lot of people will say, what does that really mean? And sometimes in the win-win, it's a fact of I'm going to when someone says I'm going to you're voluntold to take on this project. Well, if you knew my strengths and what was needed in this project, you might allow for a volunteer for somebody to go, hey, I can take this part of it. What about if I step in here? And now you're allowing everybody to do what's natural and what likely that feels easy and they thrive on.
Hmm.
And that's how you create that win-win. It's allowing people to say, I just want to do a part of it. I don't want to be involved in the whole part. Can I step in and help on this part? But that's thinking outside the box that sometimes that's not what people are known to do. But you and I, who both thrive on brainstorming and finding solutions, it comes natural to us.
Right.
And others, it doesn't. It's like, no, don't change things. Everything's just fine the way they are. We're fine doing
Leave
it
it.
this way.
Leave
Yeah.
it. So let me ask you when we're implementing this. First of all, would it, I can imagine that a company today, a business owner listening today is like going, this is brilliant. I need to know this. Is it too late to implement it in their company now, or do they really have to do it at the hiring?
Nope, they can implement it now because they have teams, they have team members, they may have managers and their team members. And, a lot of time, as I've come to find out, if you just need a butt and a seat, that this isn't going to be the right tool for you. But if
Mm,
you're investing in somebody and you expect them to be long term and you're going to be working with them, at any given time, there's been some frustration or there's consistent frustration, and this will allow bring it to say, oh, well, again, just come simple as coming into my office. If you come into my office and I'm in the middle of something, I might give you an eye roll. Well, if this would then identify going, oh, the eye roll isn't personal, it's the fact of I'm in the middle of something. So it allows that dialogue to take place. And that's where
mm,
it's never too late to do that. It's a fact
right.
of when you understand some people thrive on last minute urgent scenarios. They thrive on doing projects the very last minute. And then they hand them over to somebody who's slow and steady, one thing at a time. There's ways that you can adjust that where, okay, if I thrive on last minute priorities and scenarios, I'm just going to push my project up a week so that I'm done on my deadline, giving it to my person who now has a week to be able to do what they do best. And
Right.
those things can then take away that tension.
Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com. Mm,
So that's why it
sounds
is valuable within a team existing is the fact of it's never too late to go, oh my gosh. Again, kind of as I said in the beginning, I had a flashback of, oh my gosh, all of these things now make sense. And it
right.
does for them. So each person, when you do the result, I have a conversation with them so they can say, oh yeah, this is me. And when everybody on the team sits together and says, this is me, this is me, this is me, it builds credibility to now say, now how do we take this and have a conversation about where some of your troubles are and frustrations are within working with each other. And then we can find ways to say, oh, now I know why. And that then helps to say, again, it's that light bulb going off. And it's like, it's not personal, it's this. And now, how do we work within that? So it is never too late. I have people do it on their spouses, on their kids, because it just
Once you know,
once you know, it's like you want everybody to go, we're this is how we can have different conversations and have respect for each other in ways that are not just bringing our whole past along with us in that journey.
uh, you know what, that makes everything seem like it's going to go smoothly.
Yeah.
Um, how long? So let's say I took my test and I work with you, Vikki, and we're butting heads a little bit on our style of delivering things because you're my boss and I keep delivering stuff late, or I'm stressed, or oh, I need to keep asking questions because I'm a researcher or what have you, and I keep blocking that. So say we both sit down and have a test, right? How long would it take you, Vikki, the leader of the team, to be able to start to recognize the things that you should be doing differently and the way that you should be working with that? I mean, because it seems like it's not just intuitive to know the answers, but there's things that go along with the answers, right?
Yeah. So, when you do that, I mean, honestly, there's times that just that one conversation of two people coming together and having a conversation of, and most people, they know where their frustration is. Oh, I'm not following, my follow through is horrible. Okay. Well, if you know the follow through is horrible and you know that that's not your natural strength, are there things that you now can do to better know that this is why? It's not the fact of anything other than you don't do follow up as a natural way of doing things. So you have to put extra layers in to make sure you're following up. Or
Mm,
is there something that is frustrating that maybe a team member can take that component of it so that the frustration goes to somebody who does follow through? Like I had a client, she was frustrated because the credit card was declines were not getting a new credit card. So the person would make a phone call and then it would go into the black hole because they were
Wow.
not, their strength wasn't follow through. So that could go to somebody else. So it really depends on, is it a small component of that job role, or is it the entire job role is around it? And then the reality is sometimes it's that maybe you're not the right person in that right seat. And oftentimes, again, the dial, it's not the first time it's coming up. So sometimes it's just that reality of maybe we do need to cut the ties for that. So those are the hard decisions sometimes they make. But the immediate results are, now I know why. And it's not the
Mm.
fact that you don't care. It's not that you're not smart enough. It's just not in your natural wheelhouse to be able to do this. And it flows for you. You're constantly having to step back and think, what am I doing?
So this is again, this is great for understanding how the results can go if we're looking at ourselves. Is there a set of tools that once you get into this kind of environment and understanding your processes, is there a tool that maybe could help transition the interrelationship there? Because awareness is one good thing, but is there a step that maybe, oh, well, when you're dealing with this kind of person here, they often need to have extra time, or they often need to be able to process things different, kind of like you walk into my office story, right? And I need time to finish what I'm doing before I come in and talk to you when I'm done, kind of thing. Is there any kind of framework or skill set that we can learn from?
So Kolbe does have a tool that you take two people's index and then you compare the two of them. So that then shows where there's potential for conflict. And in there, it also gives you some tools of what to do and not to do.
Mm,
So, the tools are great, but the value of having somebody like me who's been in the Kolbe world for the past 7 years is the fact of, okay, let's have some conversations. Let's take off the gloves, let's take off the misperceptions, and let's just have some honest conversation of where the frustrations are both sides. And then we can pinpoint going, okay, this is why. And, sometimes it's that awareness. And then, if we have these bad habits, then those take time to resolve itself. But there's a level of awareness almost immediately because it does answer that right away.
that aha.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And
Well,
then
this,
there's other tools through Kolbe that, somebody could take to say how they see their job role. So sometimes when they take this other index, they can see how they see their job role and where the difference of the two of them are. And for them, sometimes it's that person's self-awareness of, oh my gosh, no wonder it's not just this one thing. This whole job role is out of my alignment. So sometimes that's
mm,
their own awareness going, no wonder I'm so exhausted. No wonder I'm overwhelmed. No wonder I feel like I'm failing. And it's not me failing. It's just I'm not
in the
wired
right
to
position.
do the job the way that job role is destined to be.
That's amazing. What an amazing awareness you get from this. You
Yeah.
mentioned there's indexes. How many indexes does this program offer?
So there's about 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
So you take the index that tells you how you naturally solve. There's one you take how you see your job role in the hiring process, so that when you want to hire somebody, there's another index that you do that's how you see this job role. And when you do this job role, now you can then use that with this additional system to say, okay, when we're hiring somebody, we're going to talk to them about, yes, they've got the skills. Yes, they fit our culture. Now we're going to have them take this index and it'll grade them from an A to an F. And
Mm.
they may have said, Vicki's our number one candidate. We're ready to give her an offer. Well, I take the Kolbe Index and I come up as an F, not because I'm not a good person, not because I'm smart enough. It's because my natural strengths are way out of alignment with what that job requires. Now,
And is
Marcia,
this going to
on
be
the other
trouble?
hand, Marcia, she was our second runner-up. She required more training. And we will train all day long to know that she's going to be our B person, which means she's got the natural strengths to do that. And now we're going to extend that offer to Marcia. So that's where this role comes in, is because when people sit and say, okay, I've given the interview, I'm fingers crossed that this person's going to be the show up the way that we expect them to,
Right.
because they don't know. This becomes their crystal ball to say, does Vikki have the natural strengths the way this job role requires? So then that's part one. And then it's like, okay, now how does she fit in with our team? And that's why doing it with the team to say, oh, Vikki and Marcia might butt heads because Vikki's a planner, Marcia just wants to wing it. Now, how do we make sure the two of them understand and respect each other? And it creates this healthy environment. So just like it provides a common language, a lot of these assessments, that's what the Kolbe does too, to be able to say, okay, you know what, we're going to pass on volunteering Vikki to do this because, or the other thing is if you've got too many people who are fact finders, you spend your time in analysis paralysis and nobody says, hey, let's move forward because it's like, nope, we got more research. Let's keep researching it. So it helps to identify going, okay, we're gonna be stuck here if we don't do something different.
Got it. Got it. All right. So how does your method, the TeamAlign method, is this using Colby? Is this using other skill sets that you have that really enhance this program?
Yeah, so Kolbe's my foundational assessment. That's really where the whole thing comes in, and I have the lead for framework. So L is for learn. So you're going to learn what everybody's natural strengths are. Then you're going to expose. You're going to expose like where is some of the frustrations this team has or within hiring. And when you
Mm.
expose that, it then allows you to say, okay, is there some alignment? So A is for alignment. Is there some alignment that can be done, or is there something that's just we maybe need to look at a different department, or maybe they're just not the right person. And again, we need to cut our losses, and now we can bring somebody on who will have the natural strengths. And then the drive is once, and then we do meetings. So the D is for drive. So once you have everybody in alignment and you're moving forward, it allows you to be more productive. It allows projects to get off the ground. It allows you to get those results that you've been expecting. And that's when you can scale up. So
Mm.
and
Makes
then
total
implementing
sense.
this over a 6 month period of time, it allows you to have these monthly contacts with me because I come in monthly and we have these meetings and just bring different components to the whole Kolbe process. And, if there's people who need some one-on-one coaching, if there's people who need different support, it's being there to be able to bring in the fact of, the knowledge and being able to brainstorm solutions, which is what my strength is. It allows me to be able to think differently and creatively where sometimes people in the team get stuck. So that's where
That's
doing
so
this, it's not just a one and done. It's constant because you have new people in the team. You have different departments that you might now be interacting with. And the more that this comes on board, it's beneficial to a team. But again, when it gets put into the culture, that's truly when that company is truly able to scale the way they want.
Well, it makes total sense because any kind of change, right? People hunker down when change comes in, and then some people thrive on it. I thrive
Right.
on it. But I noticed that if you just take the test, right? And you see the results, and then you go back to what you're doing, you've done nothing to improve the
Right.
situation. You need to have some guidance to come
Yes.
here and help you analyze the results that you've got and give you ideas and paths to make those relationships work better, right? And those job roles work better. And I think for me, it's such a nominal investment in your time financially and energy to make something grow in the way, like you said, so you can get everybody moving in the right direction, fully
Yeah.
capable of managing their role. I always like this one. They're really making their own money, right? Because they're doing what you hired them to do in a most efficient,
Yeah.
effective way. So for
Yeah.
business owners,
And
it's
and
really
they're
like
and
a
they're
no brainer.
Yeah, and when people are in alignment, I think people get frustrated with their job is because they don't feel that they're being valued and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
Yeah.
that then creates the burnout and the frustration and the coffee badging, all of these terms that people are using in today's world where people aren't engaged in their role, they're disengaged and that's costing them. But often they're
Mhm.
disengaged not because they're not smart enough or not because they don't care. It's they don't feel that there's value in what they do.
Mm.
And this allows them to say, this is they're likely correct, but now how can we utilize their strengths in a different way that they're like, it gives that invigoration to say, wow, now I feel valued. And it can be a simple tweak in, hey, why don't you step in here? What if you did this? Hey, you know what? Let's move this from this person to this person. and, have a different way of cross training.
Love it.
You
And in
mentioned
today's
changed. Oh, go ahead. You
I
mentioned
was just going to say,
changed.
in today's environment, that's what the workforce is looking for, that they've been able to contribute and provide value, beyond receiving, hey, I'm here 8 hours, I want 8 hours worth of pay. They're looking for something, right? They're looking for something more. And in such a difficult time to hire, not because of regulations, but finding the right fit, this
Right.
sounds like a perfect tool. They can really help you elevate the team members you bring on.
Absolutely.
Okay, Vikki, this has been great. And I know we can talk for days on this, because it's so valuable. And I think that whether you've got one person on your team or you've got 150 people on your team, you still need to understand your own strengths as well as the strengths and natural alignment that that person you've brought on or about to bring on has got. So you can make this a win-win as you brought it. So
Yeah.
where can listeners find out more about you and TeamAlign?
Yep. So you can go to my website, VikkiKempker.com. It's a little bit different, VIKKIKEMPKER.com. I know it'll
Nice.
be in the show notes. And then if you want to email me at align@VikkiKempker.com. My website has a plethora of information about Kolbe, about what I do. There's some tools that can help you. And I encourage anybody who's like, I'm curious, just start with taking the assessment yourself. When you can look at it and say, this is me, and just listen to what you and I were sharing of, we acknowledge this was us. And can that be what really starts to change the environment and the culture that most team leaders and business owners and CEOs want? So I
Exactly.
encourage them to take the Kolbe assessment. They can start there on my website. And if they have any questions, I would love to have a conversation about how to help them out.
Love it. Thank you, Vikki. I know this is just it's like it was such an eye opener for me. And I've taken all the other exam or all the other tests
Right.
and the funny thing is you can't cheat this one, you
Correct.
can't make it look different than it is. It just doesn't it's still going to produce what you need to do. And
Right.
it only takes a few minutes to put the effort forth. So I would highly encourage you, audience, to listen to try this out. Try it out on yourself at best. And if you notice that you're having frustrations with your team members, then try it out on your team members. You're definitely going to get some ahas. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in today. I hope you picked up some valuable insight and actionable ideas that will help you make your business more profitable. And what better way to align your team with you and the way that people naturally work so you can get the most out of them. And when you do that, you're actually getting more, your business is growing more, your productivity is growing more, the energy and stress is lower. So, I mean, we can just keep going on and on about the benefits of this in your business, but I would encourage you to look at it and investigate it and try it out. All right, as I mentioned earlier, it might be time for a fresh perspective. That's why we're offering a free growth and marketing audit. And in just one powerful session, we'll uncover opportunities to drive real growth for your business. And if you're ready to make that impact, go visit profitbooster.biz. Don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss future shows. You can always find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's shows. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Vikki. This was fun.
Thank you.